Welcome to Lead Empowered TV. I am your host, Nathan Mitchell. Today's guest is someone who brings energy into the room before he ever says a word. Russ Hedge is a husband, a father, and a Christ follower who genuinely loves people, and you can feel that in everything he does. With over 30 years of success in sales and marketing across multiple industries, Russ isn't just talking theory, he's lived it. More importantly, he's learned how connection, faith, and intentional choices can change the direction of a life and a business. In a world that often feels rushed, noisy, and negative, Rush has made it his mission to be a positive force and help people move beyond the just surviving the day mindset. Known by many as hashtag Russelfie, he's an inspiration specialist who understands the power of community and influence. Through coaching, speaking, and his high energy podcast, Marketing with Russ, he challenges people to live with purpose, courage, and an adventurous spirit. Today, we're talking about his new book, Life Happens and Then You Choose, a message that couldn't be more timely. Russ, I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome to Lead Empowered TV, my friend.
Well, thanks so much, Nathan. It is such a blessing to be here. You're an amazing guy. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, man. I'm excited about just hearing more about your story and sharing that with our audience on this episode today. Getting into your new book, but just as kind of like a fun question to kick things off, I got to ask, how did the whole hashtag Russ selfie thing came about?
Well, it's interesting because I was on a family vacation probably 8, 10 years ago, and I was trying to take a selfie of my family on the Washington. We were right at the Capitol and taking the whole park behind us, with all that stuff in Washington, D.C. And I could not seem to pull it off. And my son shook his head, my, now 32-year-old son, but he was 20 something at the time, and said, "Dad, just give it up. Give me the camera." My son takes the selfie, so it's all good. So I'm obviously struggling. We go to New York after that. This is where it really happens. I used to hand my camera to people to take a picture of my family. Handed my phone to a person in the subway in New York. Questionable looking, but I wanted to get a picture of my family. Forgot that my wallet and everything was now attached to my phone. So I just handed him my credit cards, my cash, everything that I had. And as I backed up, I prayed, "Dear God, please help him to give me back my phone." We smiled. He took the picture. Thank God he did give me back my phone. But I realized no more of that. I have to learn to take selfies. So I started taking them at business events. People loved them. They started jumping in and diving and just having so much fun. It was an amazing connection tool that I learned by accident. And then one of my friends said, "You got to have your own hashtag Russelfie." So there you go. So it all was born out of me not being able to do it, learning to do it, and being scared to death that my phone was going to be taken.
Yeah. Yeah, and I probably would have felt the same way as you in that moment, but it's a testimony to the fact that the majority of people are good, right? And the majority of the people are
Yeah.
going to do the right thing. And that's always reassuring.
Yes, I'm very thankful for that.
Well, Rush, let's talk about your book. The title says a lot, in just a few words. Was there really a specific moment in your life where you realized, I don't get to choose what happened, but I do get to choose what happens next and ultimately how I respond?
Well, it's interesting because my first book out just right after COVID hit was called Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose. And I had the whole theme was don't be befuddled, be intentional, have purpose, live the life you choose. And had so many people say to me, "I can't live the life I choose. I can't live what happens to me." And I would say to them, that is exactly true. But you can always choose what you do next. How do you respond? What is your perspective? All that. So life happens and then you choose. And I kept saying that over and over and over. One of my co-hosts for a couple of my live streams, my friend D. Scott Smith, says to me, "Dude, that is your next book." Because you say that all the time. Life happens and then you choose. And so that's where it was born out of. And really, people saying that to me really helped me to shape my philosophy that that's true. We can't, and I always believe that, we can't affect um, very much what happens to us. We can affect our environment and where we go, and where we put ourselves, because that's going to make a difference. But things are still going to happen every day of our life. Life happens, then we get to choose. And it's just important what kind of perspective we have.
Yeah, and sometimes that's easier said than done, right? But I also
Most
know
times.
that, but I also know that you're a person of faith. You're a
Amen.
Christ believer, and a lot of that ultimately drives who you are and how you manage adversity at the end of the day. In the book, you
Right.
talk about intentional choice as like a daily practice, not a one-time decision. What does that
Right.
actually look like? When life feels heavy and faith feels fragile. And I know that you've especially experienced that on a very personal level with your battle with cancer and having the opportunity to overcome that. Uh,
Yeah.
so share that story a little bit with us, if you don't mind.
Well, yeah. I mean, life does get heavy sometimes. You're right, and it is without God. Wouldn't be able to make it. I mean, I don't know how people make it. There was a time in my life where I did not have Christ in my life. And in that time, I did have issues and it was a struggle to deal with them. And so life still gets heavy no matter whether God is in your life or not. It's how you deal with it from there and holding on to the Lord's power and strength in your life that really makes a difference, I believe. But when life gets heavy, when I was diagnosed with cancer, it's been a crazy, crazy ride, Nathan, because I started with a what we thought was a wart on the bottom of my foot that became stage 2A melanoma. That they did surgery and had to remove a big chunk of my foot and rebuild it with plastic surgery, then found that it had metastasized to my groin and there was a tumor in my groin and the lymph system. So now it was stage 3A. And now I had to go through cancer treatment. Really struggled with a lot of the cancer treatment, immunotherapy. The drugs didn't really agree with my body and started shutting down organs on my body. And then we thought we got it with surgery and treatment, only to find 10 months later it comes back and now I'm stage 4. It's metastasized to my lungs and my brain. And so it's been a crazy ride. And through all that, holding on to God and believing and keeping that good perspective. Every day life happens to me. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, but I'm always holding on to God and believing for good things and keeping that good perspective, believing that there's hope on the other side of what's happening to me because my circumstances don't define me.
How long of a process was that for you, Russ? I mean, how many months or years were you in treatment? And
It's been about 3.5 years. And as of my last scans, which were in October of 2025, I was declared no sign of disease. And the amazing blessing and praise God for that came through last year, 2025. Last year was really a good example because I wrote this book last year in 2025, and it started with me in the hospital because a couple more organs were being shut down. My thyroid was shut down, my adrenal glands were shut down, and I ended up in the hospital. And then fast forward 10 months and just trusting God because we had to pause the treatment. It was the treatment is what was doing this to my body. It was killing me faster than the cancer was. So we just prayed, believed, trusted. 10 months later, cancer gone, no sign of cancer. So that is a good testament to if you hold on, you have hope and belief, good things will happen, right? And sure, that doesn't mean some more bad things won't happen in my life because good things and bad things are going to continue to happen every day
right.
of our life. Life happens and then we choose.
One of the things I love about your book is you take real life stories, you weave in biblical insight. Was there a story that for one reason or another maybe you hesitated to share because it was too raw or maybe too close to home, but ultimately you knew that the readers who would ultimately read your book needed to hear this message?
Well, I got to be honest with you. I don't think that I intentionally uh, did not include any story. What I really tried to do was I prayed through the process and I asked God to just reveal things to me that were important. And even in the last couple months of the book, before I sent it in for, where I finally got it published, um, there were a couple things that happened and they were hard, but I did include them. So I can't say that I did not include them, but I will tell you one story. I had a really good friend. I had several friends that got cancer inside of my journey or had cancer and died inside my journey. They went to heaven inside my journey. Um, at least that is my hope for all of them. Of course, we can't know for them, but this story was a friend who sent me a Father's Day card in June. She had been a huge supporter, supporting you, Russ, believing for you, praying for you. The next couple weeks later, she sent me a message and said, "Listen, I got to tell you." Actually, she told me in person. I got to tell you that she was a breast cancer survivor of 20 years and no cancer for 20 years. She had gone on vacation, didn't feel good, came back. Doctor said cancer was back in her bones and her lungs, and it was bad. And she was gone inside of 2 months. It was really hard, but in that last moments, I was able to go to the hospital and pray with her and ensure in my heart and mind that she knew Jesus and where she was going. That made me feel really good that I had that opportunity. But those things were really, really hard on me because people that were so supportive of me and then contracted cancer and then were already gone. I had a few of those during my journey. Um, so the bottom line is, I think that I tried my best, Nathan, to include what I thought God wanted me to include.
Yeah, so I think my a question that I have, Russ, is, how did you maintain strength, through so much adversity? I'm a faith-based person like yourself, but it also requires me to be intentional every day, to
Sure.
spend time in God's word and in
Yeah.
prayer, etc., to keep my faith where it needs to be. So were there certain practices that you put into place on a daily basis that helped strengthen your faith, helped you think about positive outcomes versus, some of the experiences that your friends, that didn't have the same story that you have to share here today?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're right. God is all powerful, but we have to lean in and seek Him and be in tune with Him, connected. And I have a morning routine that includes daily Bible reading and journaling and prayer and exercise that I do every morning. So I always do those things. Also, before I get out of bed, I have a routine that I do three things. And I talk about this in my first book, and I believe it was in this book too. I think I put it in there too. The three things I do is I'm thankful. I'm just thankful and blessed and just grateful for life and for God and for my beautiful wife and family. Number two, I say, I've got this. I give myself a little pep talk. You know what? God's given me the talents and abilities to do the things that I need to do. And so I'm going to move forward and do it. And number three, I say today's going to be awesome. Now, when people find out that I wake up at 4 a.m., they're like, dude, there's no way that I'm going to say today's going to be awesome at 4 a.m. And I tell people this not to say you should do what I do. I tell people this to say this is what I do to help set my mindset, to give me strength in the day because I'm already moving in a positive direction. And so whatever it is for each person, they need to find something that helps keep that positive mindset. And I'm big on personal self-talk. There's so many voices in our head. We need to talk to ourselves and tell ourselves positive input and get ourselves moving in the right direction. So that's what I do every day to kind of keep myself on track.
Yeah, it's amazing how just important to start the day with gratitude is.
Yeah,
Gratitude, being intentional about what you want to manifest in the day, and to your point, I mean, we all have those negative thoughts in our head, right, that we have to overcome. I mean, even the Bible says the heart is deceitful, right, above all things. So
that's right.
just starting that day with intention and having a positive mindset, I think, is so key for our listeners to take away from this conversation today.
Yes, and I know that most people are this way. I can't speak for everybody, but most people wake up in the morning and start worrying and fretting right off the bat. You start hearing voices like, "Oh my goodness, I got to get up, get the kids work ready for school. I need to get up and get ready for work. I've got a big meeting today. Oh my goodness, all these things are going on." So instead of letting the negative voices drive the narrative, why not flip the script and start telling yourself good things, positive things? And it makes a big difference. Now, I'll tell you, I am blessed by God with a positive mindset personality right off the bat. I tell people I have an unfair advantage because he made me that way. And I had a wonderful mama who was amazing. My mom was the happiest person in the world. And so she really was a good, a good example for me. And my dad was awesome too. But my mama was the happiest person alive. She was. She actually passed from Alzheimer's and was happy all the way till the end. It was just wonderful. But I just say that no matter what you are, if you happen to be a glass half empty and you're a little, a negative person, you can still flip that script and intentionally pick positive input for your life.
Russ, many leaders and families, they feel stuck between trusting God's plan and wanting or feeling like they have to have control in their life, right? How do you help readers navigate that tension without drifting into, being passive or just burnout in general?
Yeah, I think that's tough for everybody, Nathan. I think that a lot of people, we all want to trust God and then tell him what to do, right? I
Yep.
mean, I think any Christ follower that says they don't do that's lying because we all say, "Dear God, please help me." And by the way, here's how I think you should do it. And so we all have that little bit of control issue. And then you talk about the passive end of it, just saying, "Oh, I'm just going to give it all to God and do nothing." Obviously, we can't be passive in life. We have to be intentional. We have to make choices. God gave us free will in life for a reason. We need to intentionally move forward, of course, in His plan and what He has for us in our lives. He's gifted us all with certain gifts and abilities. He's laid out purpose for all of us. We all have a God given purpose. Mine is I clearly know my purpose to inspire and encourage you and others to live a purpose driven life of significance, something significant impacting God and other people, helping people be world changers, difference makers in their lives. I want to push people forward in that direction so that they can find God and God's purpose in their life. And so I think that, we all struggle with that. And it's a daily choice because, Nathan, life happens and then you choose.
Yeah, I discovered my purpose in life probably back in 2013, I would say. And it's pretty simple. It's just to empower people. And that looks different, depending upon which area of my life I'm doing that in. Business wise, it's to empower people to unlock their true leadership potential. But when I serve at the church, my purpose is to empower people to be more like Christ, right? And to serve them and break bread with them, have coffee with them, whatever that might look like. Sometimes it's just, being the ear that needs to listen, and sometimes that's
Right?
enough. So if someone is watching right now, maybe they're in a difficult season where life feels like it's happening to them and not for them. What's the first small choice that they can make or that you would invite them to make today to reclaim hope and purpose, just given how important it is?
Well, oh my goodness. Number one, if you don't know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, that's the first choice you should be making. After that, the first choice you should be making is believing and trusting the path laid out for you is good, that there's good intentions. The fact that God works all things for the good, all things, good things and bad things happen in your life, but he works them all for the good. Also, he's got a plan, right? His plan is for abundance in your life. His plan is for good things in your life. And so I think that when you start believing that things are happening, what happens is your brain is created to actually rewire itself. Your brain will rewire itself to look for good things instead of bad things. It is a scientific fact. I'm not a scientist, but you can look it up. Your brain is created that way. And so God kind of knew what he was doing there, right, Nathan? And so I just
Absolutely.
really, yeah, so that's what I'd encourage people to do.
All right. Well, Russ, we've got about 4 or 5 minutes left in our episode today. I would love to hear what's new for you in 2026. I know you got Podfest coming up, so we got time to talk
Right.
about that if you'd like. Also, if you want to, plug your podcast, Marketing with Russ, whichever direction you want to take it these last few minutes, let's do it, my friend. The floor is yours.
Well, first of all, I love being on your podcast, Empowered Hearts. This is amazing because you and I are the same. We're hoodie guys. I wore
Yep.
my hat in honor of you. And you know what? I'm a casual guy. When I started my own business, I decided I'm going to be me, right? And so my new book, look what's on me behind in my book. It's a hoodie. There you go. And so my new book, Life Happens and Then You Choose, and everything about me is available at russhedge.com. Russhedge.com is the place to go. You will find out that I love people. I love to speak to people. I'm an inspirational speaker. And coming up in the new year, I'll be speaking at a cancer conference this year. I'm going to Podfest. I'm super excited about that. I will not be speaking, but friends are, and I'm going to support them. And I intentionally did not ask to speak at Podfest because I wanted to experience it. I've never been there. And so it'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to several other speaking engagements coming up in 2026, being on lots of live streams and podcasts like yours, Nathan. Yes, Marketing with Russ, aka hashtag Russelfie, is every Monday and Thursday, 8 a.m. live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Plus, I have Russ Reels live every Thursday at 4. I have the Experience Live with Russ and Scott every Wednesday at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and the Experience Local live with Russ and Scott every Monday at 9 a.m. So I do a lot of live streaming. And on Instagram, we have the Experience Backstage, which is 6:30 a.m. Pacific every Wednesday. So I do tons of live streaming. Yes, everybody, that is 6 a week. I'm able to do that because of my amazing teammate, Ever. She is amazing, and she works with me and enables me to do all these things. So I have that in front of me. So I love to speak. I love to live stream. I love to help people with their business. I do marketing coaching. Most of it surrounds connection and community building. We are better together, Nathan. I know you believe that. We are definitely better to believer. That's why God told us to gather together. You know, where two or more are gathered, He is in the midst, and things are happening that are good. And so those are my plans for the new year. All kinds of other stuff mixed in with that, but I'm really excited for 2026, and I'm feeling healthier and ready to go.
That's great, man. Well, thank you so much for showing up as your authentic self. I love here you are. We're complimenting each other, right, with our hat and hoodies. And I was laid off from a job in June and became a necessity entrepreneur again. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to show up as my authentic self this time. And I think people want that
Yeah.
in this day and age, and I think it helps us stick out in a good way, authentically, and I also think people find it more trustworthy at the end of the day as well when we show up authentically. So thank you for doing that.
You bet. And I 100% agree with that.
Well, Russ, this has been such a powerful reminder, that while we cannot control what life throws at us, we always have a choice in how we respond. And, I've had the opportunity to know you through the Hounds of Business community now, I think for a couple of months. And your heart for people, your faith, and your message of intentional, living really comes through, not just in the book, but in the way that you show up every day in your daily life. So thank you so much, my friend, for your story, for your wisdom that you've shared with me and our listeners, and ultimately your encouragement. And friends, life happens and then you choose. Let's make sure that we choose well. Have a great day.